State of Cannabis.
This is the State of Cannabis News Digest, a roundup of this week's key developments in the cannabis industry. Our top stories.
From state legislatures to federal regulators, America's cannabis landscape is shifting once again. In Colorado Springs, a city council override could reshape how marijuana tax dollars support mental health, veterans, and public safety. Meanwhile, coast to coast, cannabis programs are evolving. Massachusetts celebrates over $8 billion in sales while debating a sweeping set of new reforms from drive-through dispensaries to seed legalization. And in Minnesota, the final lottery for dispensary licenses brings the state closer to full retail rollout. But it's not all smooth growth. In New York, a major testing lab shuts down over allegations of fraud, triggering the state's largest cannabis recall yet. And in Missouri, regulators crack down on illegal practices while the state Supreme Court ends double taxation on cannabis, in a ruling that could save consumers millions. On the legalization front, Oklahoma and Oregon both take steps toward putting adult use initiatives on the 2026 ballot, while Pennsylvania lawmakers remain deadlocked on how, or rather, to move forward at all. We'll also hear how medical access is expanding in North Dakota, why Rhode Island is pausing hemp retail licenses, and how South Dakota's hemp farms are drawing attention for climate benefits and carbon credits. And in Texas, the battle over hemp heats up again, with lawmakers, small businesses, and veterans clashing over a proposed ban, even after the governor's veto. Nationally, the rescheduling of marijuana remains in bureaucratic limbo, as leadership changes stall the process and lawmakers push new bills for interstate commerce. Stay with us. Full details on these stories are just ahead.
And now here is the deeper look at the key events in the cannabis world this week.
The U.S. cannabis industry is at a standstill, with federal reform stuck in bureaucratic delays. This week, two major developments emerged. Terrence Cole was confirmed as DEA administrator, and the agency's top judge, John Mulrooney, announced his retirement, leaving the cannabis rescheduling process with no judicial oversight. While rescheduling marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 could ease tax burdens and support medical research, the process is paused amid allegations of misconduct. Cole has pledged to review it, but hasn't taken a clear stance. Meanwhile, lawmakers introduced the SHIP Act, in a bill that would let small cannabis producers ship products across state lines once federal legalization happens. For cannabis businesses, patients, and advocates, the stakes are high, and the next few months could determine whether reform finally moves forward or remains stuck in legal limbo.
The Texas hemp industry is once again under fire. Lawmakers in the Senate have advanced Senate Bill 5, which would outlaw most THC-containing hemp products. The move comes just weeks after Governor Abbott vetoed a nearly identical bill, saying he favored regulation over prohibition. Abbott wants a model similar to the alcohol industry, where adults can buy safe, clearly labeled products, and minors are protected through strict enforcement. But Senate leaders argue regulation is impossible and say a ban is the only way forward. Industry leaders, small business owners, and veterans testified against the bill this week, warning that it would destroy a legal, tax-paying industry and hurt consumers who rely on these products for health and wellness. A poll conducted by TexasCannabis.org during the live Senate session and immediately after indicated that the majority of Texas resident respondents opposed SB 5. With conflicting messages from the governor, the Senate, the public, and a tangle of competing bills about labeling, packaging, and legal protections, the future of hemp in Texas hangs in the balance. The decision now shifts to the Texas House and the governor's final decision.
Are you in the cannabis industry? Then you need statecannabis.org. It's more than a directory. It's a powerful platform to connect with local customers, stay on top of your state's evolving cannabis laws, and promote your business directly to people who care. Advertise your products, showcase your services, and grow your presence right where it matters. Visit statecannabis.org and click on your state to get started.
In Oklahoma, cannabis reform is once again on the ballot, at least potentially. A group of advocates has received approval to begin collecting signatures for a 2026 constitutional amendment that would legalize adult-use marijuana. State Question 837 would permit possession, sales, and even home cultivation of cannabis, while also offering record expungement for nonviolent offenses. The campaign begins on August 6th, and organizers must collect nearly 173,000 valid signatures by November 3rd. But they're operating under new rules. Senate Bill 1027, which passed earlier this year, adds complex geographic requirements to signature gathering. While some see these new restrictions as voter suppression, others say they'll push campaigns to build broader coalitions. For now, activists say they're focused on the task ahead and hopeful that Oklahoma voters will be ready to support legalization in 2026. If you are interested in signing this petition, contact Oklahomans for responsible cannabis action at orca4ok.com.
Oregon's cannabis laws could see a major update in 2026. A citizen-led initiative to legalize cannabis social lounges has cleared a critical hurdle, and the draft ballot title has been approved. That means supporters can now begin collecting more than 117,000 signatures to put the proposal on the November 20th, 26 ballot. The plan, developed by the Oregon Cannabis Cafe Coalition, would allow licensed micro-businesses to open cannabis consumption lounges for adults 21 and older. Guests would have to bring their own cannabis, with no sales allowed on site, but lounges could offer unmedicated food, drinks, and hemp-derived CBD products. Alcohol and tobacco would be strictly prohibited, and venues must meet strict public health standards. If passed, the law would go into effect on January 1st of 2027 and be regulated by the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. The campaign now enters a critical phase as it prepares for a statewide signature drive.
In Pennsylvania, the fight over adult-use cannabis legalization is entering a new chapter, but the outcome is as uncertain as ever. Back in May, House Democrats passed HB 1200 as a sweeping proposal that would see cannabis sold through state liquor stores and regulated by the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. Supporters touted the bill's emphasis on public health, social equity, and small business protections. But the Republican-controlled Senate rejected it outright, preferring a more free market approach. Since then, Democrat senators have reintroduced their own bipartisan bill favoring private dispensaries, trying to carry that plan through the House. At the same time, other lawmakers are pushing their own reform package that supports small growers and avoids state-controlled retail altogether. Meanwhile, the governor says he's ready to sign legalization into law, but has not endorsed a specific plan. He has warned that Pennsylvania is losing money to neighboring states like Maryland and Ohio, where dispensaries are already open and polls show that most voters agree. Still, legislative leaders remain split, and with budget negotiations ongoing, cannabis reform in Pennsylvania may once again be sidelined this year.
If you're a medical cannabis patient or thinking about becoming one, check out statecannabis.org. It's your trusted resource for state-specific info on cannabis laws, access to discounted medical marijuana certifications, and guides to help you stay compliant and informed. Just visit statecannabis.org, choose your state, and get the help you need, fast and easy.
Minnesota's legal cannabis rollout took another big step forward this week. On Wednesday, the Office of Cannabis Management held its second and final retail license lottery, choosing 75 applicants from over 550 submissions. This brings the total number of selected cannabis retailers to 150, completing the first round of dispensary licensing. The earlier lottery in June had prioritized social equity applicants, including veterans and individuals from communities hit hardest by past marijuana laws. But even for those selected, the process isn't over, since they will need to pass background checks, secure storefronts, and meet strict compliance standards.
Big changes are coming to North Dakota's medical marijuana program on August 1st. Thanks to new legislation, patients will then be able to purchase low-dose THC edibles, get certified via telehealth, and enjoy 2-year medical cards instead of renewing annually. The reforms are aimed at improving access, particularly for older adults and rural residents, while also helping North Dakota compete with recreational cannabis markets in neighboring Montana and Minnesota. Dispensary operators say patients have long asked for edible options, and many see the reforms as a major win for the state's medical marijuana community. While some concerns were raised about accidental ingestion and overuse, lawmakers chose not to add storage or flavor restrictions.
Missouri's cannabis industry is going through a major shakeup. Just last week, the Division of Cannabis Regulation permanently revoked CManufacturing's license after discovering multiple violations, including using THC from outside the regulated market, destroying video evidence, and failing to follow product tracking laws. A few days later, the Missouri Supreme Court issued a ruling that ends the controversial practice of tax stacking, which means counties can no longer impose a local marijuana tax on dispensaries in cities that already have one. This ruling, based on a lawsuit from a Florissant dispensary, is expected to save Missouri cannabis users about $3 million every month. Together, these changes are a good sign of Missouri's commitment to stronger oversight and fairer pricing as the state's marijuana market grows.
In one of the most significant enforcement developments yet in New York's legal cannabis industry, a state-licensed testing lab has shut down amid allegations of misconduct and safety violations. Lexicrom Analytical Laboratory, based in Freeport, Long Island, closed its doors following a state investigation that uncovered possible data manipulation, including inflated THC levels and pesticide contamination. The lab had cleared marijuana products later deemed unsafe and was at the center of 3 public recalls, the largest in state history. Regulators issued a stop work order in mid-May, and Lexicrom voluntarily dissolved days later. Industry leaders now say the incident reveals deeper problems in New York's cannabis testing system and are calling for stronger oversight, independent result verification, and public transparency. With the state's legal marijuana market expected to surpass $2 billion in annual sales, the stakes for rebuilding consumer trust couldn't be higher.
Massachusetts' cannabis industry just hit a major milestone, with over $8 billion in adult-use sales since legalization in 2018. The Cannabis Control Commission says more than $806 million in sales came in just the past year, driven by strong demand for cannabis flower, vape products, and pre-rolls. The state now has 754 licensed cannabis businesses, and 40 more have opened so far in 2025. With social consumption lounges expected to launch soon, Massachusetts is poised for even more growth. But it's not just about sales. Lawmakers are also considering a wide set of reforms. On July 22nd, the state's Joint Committee on Cannabis Policy reviewed 12 proposed bills that could reshape the industry. These include bans on advertising near schools, legalizing drive-through sales, and strengthening labor rights through mandatory peace agreements. Other proposals would promote sustainability, expand equity funding, and legally clarify the sale of cannabis seeds. At the moment, Massachusetts law doesn't clearly define whether cannabis seeds are legal to buy or sell, especially if they haven't been germinated. This legal gray area has caused confusion for cultivators, home growers, and dispensaries alike. House Bill 150 aims to clear that up by officially recognizing cannabis seeds as legal, regardless of their germination status.
In Rhode Island, cannabis regulators are tapping the brakes on new hemp retail licenses. Earlier last week, the state's Cannabis Control Commission voted unanimously to pause approvals until they complete a state-mandated study on THC beverages, which are currently legally being sold at over 120 retailers across Rhode Island, including liquor stores and bars. The study will explore packaging, labeling, dosage limits, and more, with the results potentially reshaping how Rhode Island handles these new intoxicants. Until March 2026, those looking to enter the market will have to wait.
South Dakota's hemp industry is gaining ground, literally and economically. A second processing facility is opening near Wakanda, adding momentum to the state's climb as the top hemp producer in the U.S. The facility, run by Dakota Hemp, will turn stalks into eco-friendly products like fiber, hurd, and bioplastics. Hemp's ability to sequester carbon and store it long-term when turned into building materials has caught the attention of South Dakota's farmers and climate advocates. With carbon credits now available, some producers are earning thousands of dollars per season by growing hemp. Still, challenges remain. Hemp didn't become legal to grow in South Dakota until 2021, and farmers face regulations that many hope will ease in the next federal farm bill. But with increasing infrastructure and growing awareness, hemp may be the state's next great agricultural success story, unless the federal government changes its stance in the next farm bill.
This was the State of Cannabis News Digest, available weekly. You can listen to us on all main podcast platforms. To make sure you don't miss out on the latest updates and in-depth analysis of the cannabis industry, be sure to subscribe to our podcast. By subscribing, you'll get notifications for each new episode, helping you stay informed and ahead in the ever-evolving cannabis market. Join us next Saturday for more insights. Until then, keep thriving and stay green.